to Ethical Hacking and Penetration Testing, brought to you by Eduonix. This is Chapter 2, Real-World Information Gathering. And the things we're going to be covering are web app firewall detection, HTTP and DNS load balancer detection, DNS enumeration for pen testers, mail server enumeration, as well as DNS and Whois lookup. So HTTP WAF Detect is a tool that will let you see if there's an IPS or an IDS in front of a particular server. It's good because it can help you prepare for a particular attack. If you know it has a certain IDS, there might be some way around it. It's not 100% accurate, but it can definitely identify Apache ModSecure, Barracuda, web app firewalls, PHP IDS, .defender, Imperva web firewall, as well as Bluecoat, SG400 and other ones as well. So it's an Nmap script. If you run nmap -p80 for port ADH and then -- script HTTP WAF detect and the host, you should get this information underneath if there is an IDS or an IPS detected. If not, you'll probably just see that there is a port 80 TCP open and the service is HTTP. So HTTP and DNS load balance detection is definitely worth looking at as well, because if you are looking at a particular DNS name or an IP address, you don't want the physical box behind it to change, which it could well do with a load balancer. This is a very good tool to use. It's called LBD. It's a tool written by a guy called Stefan Bett. It detects if a given domain uses a DNS and or HTTP load balancer. Checks are made against server and date. Checks are made against server and date headers, and diffs between the server answers 50 requests are sent and compared. You have to notice that the tool is proof of concept and hence can provide false positives. It hasn't been 100% tested yet, or at least it wasn't at time of writing anyway. So DNS enumeration. The types of enumeration that use DNS include the following: zone transfer, reverse lookup, domain and host brute force, standard record enumeration, cache snooping, zone walking, as well as Google lookup. Standard record enumeration. In order to perform a standard record enumeration within the DNS recon, the command that I have to use is the dnsrecon.py-d and then the domain. So all this will do is look at the particular domain name, and it will pull back all the DNS servers associated with it, all the A records, all the MX records, etc. So zone transfer. So the security problem with DNS zone transfer is that it can be used to decipher the topology of a company's network. More specifically, when a user is trying to perform a zone transfer, it sends DNS queries to list all DNS information like name servers, host names, MX records, and C names, etc. Zone serial numbers, also the time delivery records are all requested. Due to the amount of information that can be obtained, DNS zone transfers can't easily be found nowadays. However, DNS Recon provides the ability to perform a zone transfer, providing it's allowed in the first place. So the syntax for that is below: dnsrecord.py-d for domain, and then -a or -t axfr. I would try and have a play with that. There's no demonstration, purely because I couldn't find a domain that would allow me to do a transfer. You could set one up privately on your network to have a play with though. So a reverse lookup. According to Wikipedia, which is obviously a great source of information, reverse DNS lookup is the determination of a domain name with the associated IP address. DNS Recon can perform a reverse lookup for PTR or a pointer record against IPv4 as well as IPv6 ranges. And the syntax is below. You have to run dnsrecon.py-r start IP-end IP address of the range. Also, reverse lookup can be performed against all ranges in SPF records as well, with the following command. Now, domain brute force. For performing this technique, all we have to do is give a name list, and it will try to resolve the A address, the AA address, the C name record against the domain by trying each entry one by one. In order to run the domain brute force, we need to type dnsrecon.py-d domain, and then -D namelist -tbrt. Now, cache snooping. Cache snooping is occurred when the DNS server has a specific DNS record that is cached. This DNS record will often reveal plenty of information. However, DNS cache snooping is not happening very often. You can do cache snooping with that particular command there. It also helps if you were to look at DNS injection as well. You can potentially change a record in cache, so when somebody goes to a web address they think it's cached. Well, it is cached, but you've already modified it. You send them to a different address. Great for kind of man-in-the-middle attacks, etc. Now, zone walking unveils internal records if zones aren't configured properly. The information that can be obtained can help you to map networks. The information that can be obtained can help us to map network hosts by enumerating the contents of a zone. It'll list other DNS servers in there, as well as pointers for other records and what servers they're pointing at as well. Really good technique for getting a good idea of what's out there in your internal network purely just from a record. Now, here you have SMTP user enumeration. It can be performed manually through utilities like Telnet or Netcat automatically, or it can be done via a variety of tools like Metasploit, Nmap, and SMTP user enumeration. So right here at the very top you can see that it's trying to telnet to port 25, which is the port that's used by SMTP. It's connected to it, and then there's a Metasploitable postfix banner there to tell you that it's open, and then you can perform a few things, and you can look at different VRFYs, as you can see here. Also at the very end here you can see that the recipient address is rejected, unknown in local recipient table, which is basically the recipient to test. It's trying to send information from there, and that's not in the database, but root and bin is, so that's some good enumeration. Now, DNS and whois lookup. So test for DNS errors with dnscheck.ripe.net. Let's have a look at Edionics.com. It will load up all the DNS records. As you can see, after a while it does bring back things like name server delegation, the name server addresses, consistencies, and SOA records as well. And under advanced results you can see a lot more information. A great free tool at dnscheck.ripe.net. Okay, next we have the intelligent lookup tool, Smart2Wiz, that basically just gives you information on the registered domain name, who owns it, address, IP addresses, that kind of thing. I won't bother looking at that. Now we have the DNS lookup under mxtoolbox.com. So if we look at, it shows you all the A records for Edionics.com and the IP addresses associated with them and the TTLs. A load of other things you can do here as well. A certain command you can run and the explanation of it, all runnable within here. And here you can see you can have SVR lookups, cert lookups, log lookups, text lookups, SOA records, even pricing, which is quite cool.